Hey, welcome back to the Secret Underground Lair. So I'm looking at the issue that I had here where the washer just kind of got buried inside this bracket due to some heat buildup. What I noticed is the washer that I had on there is just one of these flat washers, but these washers have kind of a smooth side and a not so smooth side. Not sure if that's by design or not, but what I observed is that the not so smooth side was the side that was up against the plastic. And I suspect that what was happening as the carriage was being drawn back this way is that the pressure on this caused that washer to rotate. Sorry. The pressure here caused that washer to rotate, and the not so smooth side being up against the surface generated some friction and heat, and that's what caused it to melt in. On all of the other brackets, it was this smooth side that was up against the plastic and didn't have any issues on any of the other joints, the other four joints, so the other four brackets. So I'm believing that is the culprit. However, what I have done on this side, I've put in a very large washer and a second washer here and put grease between them so that they get a little bit of a, one, with the extra washer, there's a little more heat dissipation, and two, with the grease in there, that should help make it spin a lot more freely under load. It'll work a little bit more like a thrust washer or thrust bearing than just a flat bearing surface. And I doubled up the washers on each of the other brackets and put grease between them as well. So hopefully that'll give us a little bit better performance as the carriages move back and forth. What I'm working on now are some brackets to hold. You can see down there I have a clamp. I'll come around the other side here. So I'm working on keeping the coupler nut contained in this bracket. I don't want to have, this clamp is not a permanent fixture, so what I'm going to be doing is making a little bracket that'll slip over the threaded rod, just barely, and on either side, and then I'm going to, for now, I'm just going to clamp that little bracket on either side, but that'll do a better job than just kind of relying on the tail end of the clamp itself, of the foot of the clamp, to capture one portion of that nut or hold up one portion of the coupler nut. So I have some pieces, some angle iron set up here in my vise. And I'm just going to be cutting this off, sections about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. And then drilling a hole and then cutting a notch so it can slip over the threaded rod. Ideally, I would put, when I make a permanent fixture, that will be a hole, not a slot. But for now, I'm just going to use a slot just to get, see if I can get better performance or improve it a little bit. Anyway, that's what I'm up to at the moment. I think eventually that bracket is going to be an entirely metal bracket. It won't be any plastic at all. And the coupler nut will be welded to that bracket. But for now, I'm just going to do this jerry rigging to see if it works. So I'll cut these guys off, come back when I have something ready to take to the drill press. So I've got my 4 pieces cut, and I've put through the first hole, and I'm kind of working my way up. The next hole will be a 1/4 inch, and then the 3/8 inch. And then I'll go back with the grinding wheel and just cut out a slot up to that 3/8 inch hole. So I'll just continue drilling, come back when I have these done and ready to cut the notch. So I've got a piece that we just cut, mounted in the vise or drilled out the hole. I'm just going to make a slice on this edge and then a slice up to that edge, just to make a little trench or a groove in this piece. That's what we're after. So I'm just going to do the same thing to the other 3. Okay, that's our 4 bits rather. Now I'm just going to take them over to the belt sander, on the benchtop belt sander, just kind of get rid of the little fragments that are left from cutting with the cutoff wheel there. Okay, now we'll go put these over on the Worktable Sawmill and see how they clamp in that coupler nut. So again, just temporarily, I'm just going to clamp these guys on, or keep these in place with a clamp. Not the long-term final solution, but it'll be a little bit better than just having the clamp only on the plastic. What I found with the clamp on the plastic is that with this little round edge here on the clamp, I'm only capturing or stopping a little wee bit of the coupler nut. And it wasn't, depending on the position of the clamp, it usually wasn't enough. So with that in place, have a much better capture of that coupler nut in there. I'll do the same thing on the other side. So with the coupler nuts kind of captured in the little brackets, we've got some lubrication with some, by way of grease on the end of the threaded rods, reinforce that with an extra washer. I'm going to bring the saw back to our starting position for our next cut. I'm going to put you on time lapse for that because it still is a slow process. Okay, and we're all the way back, ready to make our next cut. I'll just have to lower the saw. What I noticed as I was bringing the saw back over here where we had that washer penetrate, I noticed that where I now have 2 washers, this outer washer was spinning, the inner washer was not. So greasing the 2 is good. There's no heat buildup. Well, actually just a little wee bit of warm. It's not terrible, but a little warm. Not like it was last time. But what I think is happening is I think that this nut, the inside nut, is not nearly as smooth as the other nuts that I've been using, which are galvanized nuts. So over here, neither washer was spinning. The outer washer was spinning just a little wee bit every now and then. It would move. The inner washer not moving at all, compared to the nut was just whizzing around there. So a lot of slippage between the nut and the first washer here. Not much slippage at all between the nut and the first washer over here. But with the grease in there, there's no heat buildup. This larger washer even will dissipate the heat more than this will. So overall, that seems to be pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I'll lower the saw, get us ready for our next cut. This will be a 5/4 cut, and we'll be running it through completely using power. We'll be back when I have that set up. Okay, we're all set up to make our cut. Drop the blade down for a 5/4 cut. Yeah, so I'll put you on time lapse and away we go. And there's our 5/4 slab. That just came out beautifully. Most consistent cut I've had yet. One little blemish, yeah, I call it a blemish, it's hardly a blemish. One little incident happened up here, and that was as I got right down near the end, my blade guide was in a little too close to this, so I had to stop, move the blade guide out, and continue for the last 6 or 8 inches. And you can see there is a little mark here where that happened. Interesting. Other than that, though, that is just a beautiful cut. Super consistent. Right through. I love it. Okay, I'm sticking with this automation thing. I'm gonna find another way to attach a power device other than my drill, but that's looking real good. Next slab, another 5/4 slab will take me down to the pith. That'll probably result in this piece being cut here. You know, get 2 pieces out of that. And similarly, when I do the 5/4 down here, I'll get 2 pieces out of that. Another 5/4 inch section there. So one more cut this way up. I have to move the blade guides or the log clamps down a little bit to make this cut. But I'll set up for that cut. And I'm going to go back and see about that little window motor. I've called it a wiper motor before. It's actually a window motor. I'm going to bring that back out, see what I can do with it. I'll probably continue on this log with my drill just because it's working, and I want to, it's all the mechanics that I'm concerned about at the moment. They seem to be doing well. Yeah, pleased with that result. Okay, bite of lunch, then I'm back for more. So I'm exploring alternatives to using the drill for driving the Worktable Sawmill. This works very well, although it does stick out a long way from the end, and I would probably want to find a way to gear it from here to the threaded rod such that it's not so intrusive into the workspace. So I had been thinking of using this little window motor. Still might do that, but I still have a challenge of how do I get this connected to a threaded rod. So, you know, if I have this kind of approach, it sticks out like that. Maybe it would be nice to have it embedded in here somehow and geared together in some way, or even better like this. That way it's up against the table. I could mount it there. So still trying to toy with that notion of how to connect it. Not sure yet. I have another thing I've been playing with. Now this is an incredibly underpowered power screwdriver. I have another one downstairs that I may want to try. These are geared with a nice little sun gear system, so they have a lot of torque. Very low speed, but that's okay. I'm not looking for low speed. 60 RPM is about as fast as I want to go, maybe 70 RPM. So that's not a bad option. I still, though, have the challenge of how do you stick this on the end. I can use the kind of socket approach, but I really do want to turn it around and have it like that. So, and then I still have this challenge that I'm trying to wrestle with, where the chain is, I want to be driving the chain well, take it back. I just need to tighten up the chain. Then it'll drive from this side or drive from this side depending on what direction we're going. And finally, an option I was looking at was using this tool. This is a drywall screw gun. I thought maybe this would work nicely because it's geared lower than a drill, but it still spins too fast. So I'm probably not going to be able to use that. Even though it is variable speed, even at the slowest speed, it'll run a little too fast. So, and it has a weird kind of clutch type chuck. So I have to do some modification on that too. So, you know, lots of things to consider. Maybe I could take the gearing apart in there and use the gearing out of it. Not sure. So that's kind of where I am. I'm in a conundrum of what motor to use here. But in the meantime, I'm going to take another slice off this log. So I set up the saw to take another 5/4 off it, and I'm going to use the drill to do that. So I'll set you all up and come back when I have the camera set up for that next cut. Then we have another, I'm going to call it near perfect cut. That went really, really well. Just producing, well, amongst among other things, a beautiful piece of wood, but it just kind of looks like this was gone over with the belt sander with some 60 grit paper. That's how nicely that came out. So I'm going to call that a video for today. I'm going to do a little bit of mulling overnight on motors and gear reduction and attachment. But conceptually, this is working extremely well. Very happy with the results. Yeah, the drill gets a little bit hot down here in the handle, I guess where some of the electronics are. I wouldn't say hot, warm, a little warm. But nothing that you can't handle, so it's just a little bit hard on the trigger finger. After a while you get a little antsy and a little jittery. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.